Okay, let's untack this. We are diving into a high fantasy quest, but the premise is, well, it's genuinely surprising, isn't
It
it?
really is.
What if the world's greatest evil wasn't defeated by some mighty prince with a flaming sword,
Right.
but by a humble assistant pig keeper whose whole destiny kicked off because he was just chasing an escaped pig, albeit an oracular one?
That's the delightful and I think quite profound core of the land of Prydain we're looking at.
Hmm.
Our sources today really lay out this journey of Taran, the assistant pig keeper. And this world, Prydain, it's purely imaginative, of course,
Right, fictional.
but it's built on this incredibly rich foundation of actual Welsh mythology. You can really see the echoes of tales like the Mabinogion.
And what's fascinating is how the author takes those figures, those legends, and sort of twists them, uses them to build something new.
Exactly. Like the dread Lord of Annabin, Aranon. Traditionally, he's linked to the land of the dead, maybe a treasure house.
Yeah, more ambiguous, maybe.
A bit. But here, he's presented as, quote, considerably more villainous. He's just this driving, pure evil force.
Okay, so that really sets the stage. And it brings us to our mission for this deep dive, doesn't it?
It does. We want to explore how Taran finds his true worth. And it's not from his title, assistant pig keeper, or his, dreams of glory.
It's from something else.
It's from his actions, his mistakes, and he makes plenty, and the knowledge he picks up along the way. The core idea is summed up so well. We are all assistant pig keepers at heart.
I like that. So Taran starts his life at Cauldron-Born. This is home base.
Home base with Dalbin, the ancient enchanter.
Who is, what, 379 years old?
That's the number. And he spends his time mostly in meditation, guarding this huge ancient book, the Book of Three.
Meanwhile, Taran, our protagonist, he's completely obsessed with being a hero, wants adventure, wants glory.
He desperately wants to make a sword, wants recognition, but his teacher, Call, described as stout, round, bald head.
Got the picture.
Call keeps pushing practical stuff, like horseshoe making, which Taran is apparently terrible at.
Yeah.
His attempts at sword making end up looking like a sick snake.
Huh. Okay, so there's this tension right away. He wants the symbol of heroism, the sword, but lacks the basic skill.
Exactly. The outward trapping versus the inner competence.
So here's a question, though. If Dalbin is this super wise 379-year-old enchanter,
Yeah.
why isn't he teaching Taran cool magic stuff?
Right.
Or, useful hero skills? Why is Taran stuck with pig duty and feeling frustrated? Is Dalbin failing him somehow?
That's a really sharp point. And the sources seem to suggest that Dalbin gets that Taran needs something else first, more fundamental.
Like what? Humility.
Humility, responsibility, yeah. Assigning him assistant pig keeper isn't just busy work. Hen Wen is the only oracular pig in Prydain. She's incredibly important.
So it's not just a pig.
Not at all. Taran's responsible for this unique, vulnerable, incredibly valuable creature. It's a lesson in stewardship, you could say, taking care of something vital.
But that peaceful stewardship doesn't last, does it?
Not for long. We learn the Sons of Dawn, that's High King Math, and the war leader, Prince Gwydion, they're barely holding back the forces of Annabin. Danger is abroad.
And Dalbin's worried, specifically about a new and mighty warlord.
The Horned King wears an antlered mask, makes death a black joy. Chilling description.
Yeah, and Taran is explicitly told, do not leave Cauldron-Born, stay put.
And like any good hero in the making.
He immediately has to leave.
Pretty much. The catalyst is Hen Wen. She doesn't just wander off. She has this frantic fit, wheezing, whistling, burrowing like mad right out of her pen, sending Taran flying.
So he feels responsible.
Totally. It's not about glory seeking this time. It's, I have to get her back. So he chases her into the Forbidden Forest and boom, the quest begins. Against orders.
And his first taste of the world outside Cauldron-Born is not pleasant.
It's pure horror. He almost immediately sees the Horned King. Monstrous figure, black horse, crimson cloak, and that skull mask with the cruel antlers.
Just as advertised, it makes the danger immediately real.
Absolutely solidifies the stakes. And then, almost right after, he meets the person he thinks is the ultimate hero. Gwydion, son of Dawn.
But the reality doesn't match the dream, right?
Not even close. Taran's expecting some shining knight, but Gwydion is shaggy, travel-stained, looks worn out. Taran is deeply disappointed.
Judging a book by its cover, basically. Or a prince by his lack of fancy clothes.
And Gwydion calls him on it, gently but firmly, delivers one of those really key lines for the whole story.
What's that?
It is not the trappings that make the prince, nor indeed the sword that makes the warrior.
Oof. Direct hit for Taran.
Right, because Taran is all about the trappings of the sword he can't make, the title he doesn't have, the glory he craves. Gwydion, the actual hero, is saying none of that surface stuff matters.
True value is internal, earned.
Exactly. And interestingly, Gwydion is also looking for Hen Wen.
Oh, really? Why?
He needs information only she has. Something about the Horned King's plan, his purpose, and he mentions the king has sworn loyalty to Taran.
So the Great Prince and the lowly pig keeper are after the same pig for the same high-stakes reason. That's neat.
It connects them immediately. And as they search, Taran starts collecting this. Well, it's maybe the most unlikely fellowship in high fantasy.
Okay, let's meet the team. Who joins up?
First, there's Gurgi, described as a creature of uncertain lineage. Mostly, he's a nuisance.
Uh-huh. Doesn't sound promising.
Matted hair, smells bad, constantly whining for clenchings and munchings. That's his main contribution early on.
Oh, dear. Okay, who else? This is shaping up to be quite the crew.
Then we get Fflewddur Fflam. He's lanky, a former king apparently, but now an unofficial bard.
A king turned bard.
Interesting. And he has this fantastic quirk. His harp strings snap whenever he exaggerates or, as the text puts it, readjusts the facts slightly for drama.
That's brilliant. A built-in lie detector on his harp. Love that detail.
It really grounds the fantasy with humor.
Wow.
And finally, there's Eilonwy. Witty girl, blue eyes, red gold hair. She carries this glowing golden sphere. She just calls her bauble. And she claims to be a princess of the House of Fflewddur, the Sea People.
Does Taran buy that?
Not really at first. He kind of dismisses it. But she represents a very different kind of competence than, say, Gwydion, or Taran for that matter.
And competence is something Taran desperately needs to learn. This journey sounds like it becomes a rapid, painful education for him.
Oh, absolutely. A crash course in humility. He makes one rookie mistake after another. The big one early on is claiming he can swim.
No.
Right before nearly drowning in the Great Achren River, Gwydion has to pull him out.
Does Gwydion go easy on him?
Not at all. No coddling. He gives him a pretty harsh talking to, demanding Taran answer for your own folly. It's a tough lesson.
Yeah, that courage isn't just blindly charging in. You actually need to know what you're doing. Recklessness is dangerous.
Exactly. Capability matters, and that lack of capability gets tested almost immediately when they're captured.
Where? By who?
At Spiral Castle, ruled by Queen Achren. She's described as evil, beautiful, and intriguingly older than she looks.
Okay, another powerful, mysterious figure. And this is where things turn darker.
Much darker. This is where the story introduces Iran's most terrifying creation, the Cauldron-Born.
Right, you mentioned them. What exactly are they? They sound awful.
They are truly dreadful. The sources say they're former men whose bodies Iran stole from burial mounds, from barrows.
Stole their bodies? Creepy.
Then he steeps them in this magic cauldron and brings them back, but they come back. Wrong. Silent, merciless, remorseless.
So not just reanimated, changed.
Completely. And the horrifying part, thematically, is they have no memory of ever being human, no human feeling left at all. They're the ultimate symbol of Iran's tyranny, the total destruction of identity and empathy.
Wow. That's genuinely killing. And Achren uses them.
She commands them. She captures Gwydion and tries to destroy his sword, Dernwyn. There's this dramatic moment, thunderclap, crimson light, and the blade shatters. Then Gwydion gets tossed into the dungeon of Oethmaf.
Oh, Ethanoeth. Sounds bad.
It is. A prison whose walls are supposedly lined with human bones. Maximum horror.
So, Gwydion's out, sword broken, things look bleak.
Really bleak. But just when it seems hopeless, Eilonwy steps up. Remember, Taran dismissed her.
Yeah, the princess claim and the bauble.
Well, she proves far more capable than he thought. She knows Spiral Castle intimately, better than Achren apparently. She says it wasn't half as solid as they look. She uses a network of hidden tunnels underneath to engineer Taran's escape.
Clever. So she
Yeah.
rescues him.
Well, she rescues someone. She's aiming for Gwydion's cell, but accidentally finds Fflewddur Fflam instead.
Oh, the bard with the truth-telling harp?
Yeah.
Not quite the warrior prince they needed.
Exactly. And Taran, in his panic and despair, immediately jumps to conclusions and furiously accuses Eilonwy of betraying them.
Taran, still learning not to be so rash.
Still learning, his emotions constantly get the better of his judgment early on. But those tunnels, Eilonwy knew, they're their way out.
Where do they lead?
Through a whirlpool, amazingly, and into this completely different underground world. The realm of the fair folk, the Tylwyth Teg.
Okay, total shift in tone again. From Achren's bone dungeon to fair folk. Like elves.
Sort of, but more like dwarves in their depiction here. We meet their king, Eideleg. He's round, vain, obsessed with rules and organization and paperwork almost.
A bureaucratic fair folk king.
Pretty much. He spends all his time complaining about the messy humans, the long-legged gawks messing things up on the surface.
Ah, that's a great contrast to the epic evil they just escaped.
It's a brilliant narrative shift, existential horror to, like, comic bureaucracy. But here's the paradox. Eilonwy and his fair folk, while complaining, are secretly the ones maintaining the beauty and order of the world above.
Really? They're like the hidden stage crew?
Exactly. The unseen workers keeping everything running. And it's Eilonwy who finally reveals what happened to Hen Wen.
Ah, the pig. I almost forgot. Where is she?
The fair folk rescued her. They brought her underground, which is why even Gwydion, the master tracker, couldn't find her trail. It just vanished.
Okay, so Taran needs to get her back from king bureaucracy. How does he manage that?
He actually uses what he's learning about people. He appeals to Eilonwy's pride, his sense of honor, and it works. Eilonwy agrees to release Hen Wen, give them back their weapons, and even provide a guide.
A fair folk guide. Who do they get?
They get Dolly. He's an expert pathfinder, knows all the secret ways, but he is perpetually grumpy.
Why grumpy?
Because he can't master the one skill his entire family has, becoming invisible. He keeps trying, keeps failing, and complains about it constantly. My whole family can do it, just like that, he says.
Uh-huh. Another great character. So the slightly less incompetent fellowship continues its journey.
Led by a grumpy dwarf who wishes he was invisible.
Yes.
And their journey eventually leads them to a place of temporary peace. Medwyn's Valley.
Medwyn. Who's he?
Another ancient wise figure. He's a protector of animals in Prydain. He offers them sanctuary and some counsel. He tells Taran something important about Gurgi.
What about Gurgi? Still just looking for crunchings and munchings.
Medwyn says Gurgi is neither one thing nor the other, sort of lost, and what he needs most is a purpose, a sense of belonging.
And does Medwyn offer any other wisdom?
He does. This is where Taran gets maybe his most crucial lesson, about compassion and interdependence. Medwyn uses this beautiful analogy of the lame ant.
The lame ant.
Yeah, he says humans are like weak reeds, inherently flawed, and they must learn to help each other. He urges Taran to take Gurgi with them, asking point blank, "Are you not all of you lame ants?"
Wow. That's powerful. The idea that everyone is flawed, everyone needs help. Does it stick with Taran?
It seems to click immediately, because right after this, he puts that lesson into practice, in perhaps the riskiest way imaginable.
How so?
They find a wounded Gwydion in the woods.
A Gwydion? Megan, isn't that one of Aaron's creatures? Like a spy bird?
Exactly, a giant, evil bird that serves as Aaron's messenger and spy. And Taran, remembering Medwyn's lesson about kindness and helping the weak, insists they have to help it.
Oh no. Helping the enemy spy drone. Dolly must have loved that.
Dolly is furious. He sees it purely strategically. He calls it utter folly, predicting correctly that the moment the bird can fly, it'll go straight back to Anavin and report their exact location.
So Taran's compassion, learned from Medwyn, is potentially suicidal from a tactical perspective. That's a fascinating conflict.
It's the absolute crux of the story's climax, really. The thematic lesson versus the practical danger. And Dolly is right.
The bird betrays them.
Of course it does. The Horned King catches up to them. It's the final confrontation. Taran, in desperation, tries to draw Durnwyn, the sword Eilonwy recovered.
Gwydion's shattered sword. Or did Eilonwy have it? I thought Achren broke it.
Ah, good point. Eilonwy had managed to recover the pieces and perhaps hidden them. Or maybe this was her sword originally, not Gwydion's, and my previous recollection was slightly off. The sources can be dense. Let's assume Eilonwy had a powerful sword, Durnwyn. Taran tries to wield it.
Does he suddenly become the hero?
No. The inscription on the sword, which only allows those of royal blood to wield it without harm, burns his arm fiercely. The sword flies out of his hand, blazing with white-hot fire. He's still the assistant pig keeper, not royalty.
The object he wanted most rejects him, burns him. Irony.
Crushing irony. Just as all seems lost, the Horned King closing in. Gwydion returns.
Gwydion. How did he escape Oath-enough?
He endured its trials, the torments of the spirit, the sources say. He found strength and knowledge within that broke his bonds. But how did he find them?
Good question. The Horned King was right on their tail.
And here's the twist. The core of the story's brilliance. That Gwydion, the spy bird Taran saved.
Yeah, what about it?
It repaid Taran's kindness. Instead of just betraying them, it flew directly to where Gwydion was, having escaped, and also found Hen Wen. The bird led Gwydion to the pig.
No way. The tactical mistake, the act of compassion, actually saved them.
Exactly. Hen Wen, the oracular pig, was then able to communicate with Gwydion, who, we're reminded, had learned the language of all creatures, and she told him the one thing that could defeat their enemy.
What does she know?
The Horned King's secret, hidden name.
His name. That's the weapon, not the sword.
Not the sword, Durnwyn, but knowledge, identity. Gwydion confronts the Horned King and speaks his true name aloud.
And what happens?
The villain just combusts, bursts into flame, his mask melts away, consumed entirely, destroyed. It's a visceral depiction of how naming evil, understanding its true nature, is more powerful than brute force.
The courage to look upon evil and naming it by its true name, that's profound.
It truly is. Taran's whole journey, the mistakes, the humility, the unlikely friends, that risky act of kindness, it all culminates in this victory won by knowledge and compassion, not by fighting skill.
So, with the Horned King gone, they finally make it back somewhere safe.
They return to Caer-Dafil, a stronghold of the Sons of Dawn. And Taran has this moment of realization, processing everything. He tells Gwydion quite humbly, "What I mostly did was make mistakes." He finally sees his journey clearly, flaws and all.
He's owned his failures. That's growth.
Huge growth, and Gwydion, acting as the High Prince, gives out rewards to the companions. And the rewards are perfect, tailored to their deepest needs or desires.
Like what?
Doli, the grumpy dwarf, he finally gets reliable, lasting invisibility. He must have been thrilled.
Finally, what about the others?
Fflewddur Fflam, the bard whose strings always snapped when he exaggerated. He gets a single harp string that will never break, a nod to his storytelling, perhaps acknowledging its value, even if not always strictly factual.
Nice. And Gurgi, the poor, hungry creature.
Gurgi gets a wallet that magically refills itself with food, crunchings and munchings forever, a reward for his loyalty, his steadfast, if sometimes annoying, companionship.
Those are really thoughtful rewards. What about Taran? Does he get a new sword? A title?
That's the thing. Taran asks for nothing material. No reward. He just wants to go home, back to Caer-Dafil.
After everything, he just wants to go back to being the pig keeper.
Well, Gwydion grants his wish, giving him a fine horse named Melanalis for the journey. But he also gives him one last crucial piece of insight. He tells Taran that Caer-Dafil hasn't actually shrunk.
What does that mean?
Gwydion says, "You have grown bigger." His worth wasn't in the title he started with, or the sword he craved. It came from the journey itself, the experiences, the growth.
Oh. So returning home isn't a failure, it's a return with newfound perspective and stature.
Exactly. Taran accepts his role, assistant pig keeper, but he's not the same boy who left. He's gained competence, understanding. He realizes he's still growing, still changing. He's not content with just the simple life anymore.
That internal change is reflected, isn't it?
Yeah.
How does the story leave him?
It ends with him back at Caer-Dafil, reflecting. And then he asks Dalbin a question. He asks if Eilonwy the princess, his companion, maybe his equal, can stay there too.
Oh, interesting. So the adventure might be over, but maybe a new chapter is beginning.
Precisely. Gwydion mastered the language of creatures to defeat Anavin's champion. Taran's journey showed that true power comes from humility, from kindness, even when it seems foolish.
Which leaves you, the listener, with something to think about.
Taran found his identity. His worth wasn't tied to a grand title. But now, back home, perhaps with Eilonwy nearby, what secret language, maybe of the heart or refining his place in a community, must the assistant pig keeper learn next? His journey of self-discovery isn't really over, is it?